When it was first announced that the next Mortal Kombat game would feature a crossover between Mortal Kombat fighters and the characters from the DC universe, I was pretty bewildered. It seemed like maybe kind of a desperate move or a last-ditch effort to try and get people excited about the Mortal Kombat series after a few years of it being okay, but not necessarily as classic as it once was. Over the course of its development, getting to see it, bits and pieces here and there, it was like, you know, these ideas actually are starting to sound really good, and maybe it's going to play okay. Like, maybe this is going to turn out. And that's basically how things have ended up. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe is a stellar fighting game. It revamps the Mortal Kombat fighting system from both the previous set of games and the original 2D games to form something that kind of feels like bits and pieces of those, but new all the same. It also features great graphics, an interesting storyline, and a lot of different stuff that comes together to form a really unique and exciting package.
What have you done?
The story feels like it's primarily just set up to justify things like how can an ice ninja fight Superman and win, or how can the Joker excel at hand-to-hand combat, or why the hell is the Mortal Kombat universe colliding with the DC universe. It explains these things pretty well, and the answers are stuff like the universes are merging because of energy shot into a teleportation portal, and all the powers are fluctuating because of the merging of the universes, so Superman isn't as strong as he normally would be, and he's weak against magic, and all this kind of comic book style stuff that you just kind of need in place just to explain away some of the ridiculous things about the game. But I don't know, I kind of like the ridiculous nature of the game, just seeing these fighters in tights fighting against, demon ninjas and all this other stuff. It's just kind of cool to see. There's also an arcade mode in place, and this lets you pick a character and fight your way up the ladder like a standard Mortal Kombat arcade mode should. At the end of this, you do get some kind of basic ending that says, what would have happened if this fighter dominated all these other fighters? So it seems like there's enough modes and stuff to do by yourself. Of course, it also has online play, which is the real way to play because you want that competition there. This is exciting. It's got basically the leaderboards you would expect, and it works out pretty well. Well, let's talk about the fighting system. The fighting system in Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe is interesting because it kind of throws away a lot of what went on in the last handful of MK games, keeping a few very select things like combo breakers. The combo breakers are key because it also takes a lot of things from the original MK games, namely the concept of very heavy juggle combos. As a result, if you're playing against someone who really knows what they're doing, they're gonna do a little combo, knock you up in the air, and then keep you up there for a while. If you have a combo breaker, you can actually just use this to bust out of the combo at any point. It's not even like a really skillful timing-based thing. So you can prevent yourself from getting stuck and losing, 30% of your life just because one guy's really good at timing these really crazy-looking juggles. On the offensive side, learning those really crazy juggles is what makes Mortal Kombat so exciting. There's almost an art to it. It's really crazy to watch people that are really crazy good at Mortal Kombat do what they do. And you can do that stuff, which was kind of what drove Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 in this game. The fighting's also broken up by a few modes that are basically designed to take you out of the fight and do something a little different for a while. These are kind of button guessing games called free fall combat and close combat. Sort of like how Mortal Kombat 3 had positions where you could hit people and uppercut them through the wall into a different stage and that sort of thing. They do that here, where you can kind of knock people off the edge, but then you jump off after them. So as they're falling, it actually becomes a game where you hit one of the buttons to do an attack. They try and guess which button you're going to hit to try and reverse it. And basically, as you're falling, you're still kind of fighting. There's also a special throw called close combat that does the same thing, but it's more of an up-close grab with, arm breaks and different stuff like that. Some levels also kind of have the classic test your might thing from Mortal Kombat 1, where one character will grab another and slam him through like a building or the wall of a building and grab him, just kind of run through, knocking him into stuff, and everyone has to, mash buttons to see, how much damage gets done as a result of that move. It's interesting stuff that, might not be the most technical thing in the world, but it breaks up the fight pretty well and kind of keeps things entertaining. There's an evenly split roster of Mortal Kombat and DC characters in the game, and this gives you a good variety to choose from. On the Mortal Kombat side, you get kind of a classic lineup of characters, none of whom debuted in any game later than MK2. On the DC side, they went for kind of just a lineup of the popular guys you would expect to see, and then some that would kind of fit really well into this universe and fit really well up against the MK characters. So you get to see characters basically from a lot of different places in the DC universe coming together. There was a lot of uproar when Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe was first announced, because it was also announced that it was going to have a T rating. The game does have finishing moves, but they're not, you know, gory. They are rated T14. So you see a lot of moves where people are just doing what they might actually normally do in a Mortal Kombat fatality, but the body isn't exploding into a cloud of blood and rib cages and stuff like that. So Jax still does the bit where he claps the guy's head, but the guy's head does not explode.
Jax wins. Fatality.
That's a little bit disappointing, but at the end of the day, you know, we're talking about animations that occur at the end of a fight, and it's not really that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. Really, you know, what you're here for, ideally, is the fighting, and that's going to be the thing that's going to keep you coming back. Even though the game might be rated to be teen-friendly, there actually is blood in it. During the fights, when you hit someone in the face, you'll get kind of a cloud of blood. And the uniforms actually tatter up really well during the course of a fight. If Scorpion gets hit in the face a lot, actually kind of reveal the skull underneath his ninja mask. You'll see Superman or Captain Marvel's tights just get all shredded up, and you'll see kind of just scrapes and bloody kind of bruises and stuff like that on them. And that stuff looks really great. It's actually kind of startling to see some of this stuff in a T-rated game. When taken as a whole, the thing that stands out most to me about this game is the fighting system itself. It's really satisfying, and it's one of the games that, you know, you feel like it's worth getting good at, whether it's just with one character, or if you want to kind of spread your time across a few different characters. You know, a lot of fighting games just don't really have that. You feel like, well, I just want to get good enough at this game to have fun with it when people are over, but with this one, I felt like I wanted to master characters. Like, I wanted to get in there and play as much Scorpion as possible so I can get online and just wipe people out. And that kind of competition really is what the genre is all about. So it's great that, that MK vs. DC can be so focused on what fighting games are all about.
Flash, are you okay? Flash, are you okay?
Let's see what happens when the person pitching starts off the inning. And that happened.
Are you okay?
I'm fine, Diana. I just felt strange for a moment.